Normally at this point we do something called the main talk, which is kind of longer, more substantial talk for the day. But you don't want to do the same thing every week because it gets monotonous. And a while back, I was thinking about yes, Casanova. That's the bird's name, if you don't know. We have a really diverse community. We have people from all over the world, and I thought it might be fun to hear from some of our fellow Oasiens who have come here from abroad, who have lived in the States, because it's, they're going to have I think, really interesting perspective. And I'd like to hear about their experiences and kind of tap in to the diversity of life experiences that we have right here in this community. And so we assembled a panel. It was done very scientifically. I put a plea out on the Facebook group, and those who responded went on the panel. So if you are not on the panel and you wanted to be, it's your fault because you didn't respond to the thing. So I didn't intentionally leave anybody out. I just put it out there. So these are the folks who responded. We're very grateful for them to share their time and thoughts with us today. And I'm just going to bring them up. So if you're on the panel, we want to have Atif, Verena, Claire, Abhishek, and Hassan to come on up. And we're going to let you guys introduce yourselves. Yeah. Just take a seat, and we're gonna you guys will pass the mic around.
And keep the mic about an inch or so from your person. Do we not have a mic coach while we're
Yeah, Lou's gonna help you with the mic. Yeah. So if you guys, and I'm not gonna hover behind you the whole time, but for for right now, if you just go down the line, give us kind of your name, your home country, how long you've been in the States, and what brought you here. Just a very quick self-introduction.
So Atif Iqbal, and I'm originally from Pakistan. Lived most of my life in Saudi Arabia. I came to America in 1993, so I've been here since then.
I'm Abhishek Mathur. I've been here about 8 years, 2007. I came here for my master's. I'm from Hyderabad, India.
Hi, I'm Verena Kalov, originally from Germany. I've been in the US since June 21st, 1997. I came here as an au pair for 1 year.
Hi, my name is Claire. I've been here since 2008. I came here for my undergraduate college in Oklahoma.
Hi, Hassan Mohammed from Sudan, 18 years in America.
Hassan, I'll take that for a second. Thank you. So I'm going to ask a couple starter questions, and then we're going to turn it over to you all, because you're never short on things to say. And so sometimes you complain that we didn't get enough time for Q&A. Today's going to be almost all Q&A. But if it slows down, I got some backup questions. So my first question for this gang is, what's your favorite American food? I want to know that. They were told to think about this ahead of time. He doesn't like any food.
So when I first see this question, I was thinking pizza, burger, pasta, but they're all not originally American food. So, so I say brownie.
Sweet. For me, that would probably be cranberry sauce or anything with cranberries.
That would be stuffed with blueberries. Waffles.
So as a kid, I was fascinated by burgers, and I didn't have any. So, so I think burgers and steaks, yes.
Yeah, very good. Second question
You
is...
need the mic, Mike. Here, Mike. Here.
Oh, I get one.
You know, we could give the speakers this in the audience.
That would... Was this going to stretch?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Oh, wow. Okay, here, try this one. Yeah, I'll take that one from you. All right. Good.
I tested American cake. Is there anything like American cake?
American cake.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay, good. So then, my next question for you all, and it doesn't, you can answer it in any order. You don't have to go down the line in a linear fashion. What's been the single most surprising or unexpected thing about life in the U.S. for you?
I haven't seen any people like whistling on the street, like going like that.
Okay. Nobody whistles. That's interesting. Yeah.
To me, before I came to America, I was imagining that since America is very we consider it as Western country, and I was imagining it's really open-minded people and really liberal, and as I said, yeah, I went to Oklahoma first, and then I came to Texas, and yeah, that's pretty surprising.
So I had a little bit of a problem with this question because in a very scientific way, I decided there wasn't really one single thing. There's actually two things that surprised me. The good and the ugly, it really is what it boiled down to. The good thing was, and this is something that had never occurred to me before, was that people actually believed that somebody else could do something, could achieve something. So rather than saying, hey, you're never going to make that, like I was used to, it was, yeah, you just give it a try. Just, sure you can do that. So that was something that was very pleasantly surprising when I first came to the U.S. The other thing was, and this is something I'd never encountered before, that there were people that were taking the scripture literally.
Like kleptomaniacs. Right.
Even my priest in my hometown had said, oh, it's just figuratively, just, take it as the picture. So that was very surprising to me.
For me, it was actually, as a background, I went to Utah for my master's, and coming from India, how polite people were on the street, like they would greet you on the street and all that. That was really unusual to me. That really stuck me, and that was obviously a good thing for me. But it was when you hear people suddenly greet you on the street, strangers, it's like, what did I do, kind of deal.
Don't do that in New York.
Yeah, I've heard. Yes.
So I think the good thing is the freedom and the technology that I was exposed to with a computer science background. I found that here. The bad, I guess, is I wasn't expecting that there would be this much conservativeness here as well. It may not be extreme, but still here, there are a lot of moments when you shouldn't say things, right? So that was the bad thing that I experienced.
Okay, great. I'm going to turn it over to you guys now, and you may have a question for the whole panel, or you may have one for anyone individually as well. Jerry is first, so I'm going to get the mic over to you, Jerry.
So since the first day you came here, what values do you have that changed? Not necessarily because of America, but maybe because of being here. What changed since day one?
No one changed.
For me, I think I've become a lot more open-minded just because I was exposed to so many different people, and it might just be an equation of me getting older, but I realize now that there's a heck of a lot that I don't know, and it's made me a little bit more, less judgmental, really, I think is one of the things.
I think for me, I start to think more for myself. So before I come to America, we've been educated in China as, how to say that? So they try to teach you always think about group, always think about bigger picture, like what you can sacrifice for everyone for long term. So after I come to America, I realized that I can actually achieve something for myself, and I can do something like what I really like, which not necessarily that, which benefit for whole group, but I can achieve something for myself.
Whatever you are, whatever you feel, it is okay.
So one thing I guess I learned is back home there's no concept. Actually, the word racism, there is no differentiation is okay. People differentiate all the time, right? But when I came here, I learned that no, that's racism. You're not supposed to do that. So it could hurt people. So that's one thing that I learned here when I came here to treat everybody equally, I guess.
Well, for me, it was definitely being more open-minded as being exposed to different cultures. India has a certain level of ethnic diversity, but there is no level. There's no concept of people from other countries coming in to the country, and I'm not exposed to that. So, being exposed to different cultures made me a much more moderate person in general. And I guess I thought I would miss home more than here than now than I do actually. So.
Great, thank you. I'm going to move to a couple other questions. I kind of feel like I'm living at an auction right now because people are like going like this. Okay, so I'm trying to remember the order. So there's a bunch over there, so I'm going to circle around there. Then I'm going to come back and hit Tim and Fred over here, and Maddie's back there. Everybody, okay, let's stick around for hours. Okay, Richard. Well, but I'll get to you guys. Okay.
This is a question primarily for those who grew up in religious families or religious communities. Are you openly non-religious with other members of your family or members of your community? And if so, how do they respond?
I'm not really 100% open, but I try to open up to as many people as possible. For example, it doesn't go well. If you have a Muslim background, it's really bad. For example, if I completely open up, I would be afraid to even go back home. The second thing is, even my brother, who's younger than me, he's in New York. And I kind of told him who I am, actually. And he got furious, and to an extent where he says, you can't even see your niece anymore, because I don't know what you're going to teach her. So reactions like that come out. So yeah, we go through that. So that's something bad. I hope it changes.
Yes, with my close family and now even my extended family, I am open about me being atheist or anything like that. So it's just a question of how close I am to them. They know more about me.
How do they respond?
I guess it's a lot different. It's a sense of some level of confusion, but it's not completely unheard of to be non-religious as such. So they don't quite grasp the concept. It's not as violent a reaction as you would see in the Abrahamic religions. My family is completely Hindu. So. Yeah.
So I took a little bit of time. My brothers have known, and I've actually, in Germany, we have religious studies as part of high school. And I was about 14, 15 or so when I went to the principal and said I was no longer going to participate in Catholic religious studies. And instead was going to take philosophy. So this is, it was already starting to my belief system was starting to shift already before I left Germany. And it's just been in the last couple of years that my mother that I've disclosed to my mother what I do on my weekends. And she's actually she's good with it. Primarily, though, because what she calls the ground crew from the church is not really necessarily living up to her expectations. So, there's just a lot of controversy around Catholic priests, and so that's the ground crew. She doesn't care for them.
Surprisingly, I find people in Sudan very open-minded. 30 years ago, in my small village, and in front of a very big crowd, I was discussing religion with a fanatic from Saudi Arabia. And I said, I don't believe in God, And people just laughed, and it was fun for them.
We don't have religion.
Alexis? Patrick?
Having traveled abroad myself, I noticed one of the first things I did upon landing on foreign soil was immediately put my foot in my mouth, figuratively. And I was wondering, coming to the United States, what was the first that you can remember social faux pas that you committed that was caused by the culture difference?
So after the first year of au pair, which went fairly well, I decided to enroll and study here. As I was sitting in chemistry class, I had written something in pencil. Having been taught English, British English, I turned to the gentleman next to me and asked him whether I could borrow his rubber to erase what I had written, which was the proper English term, but not the proper American one.
Well,
everybody was dying laughing.
For me, it was more the politeness thing I was talking about. The first day I was just going around the streets of Salt Lake, and I decided to. I was kind of deciding whether to cross the street or not. And by the time I was at the edge of the street, the entire traffic stopped in front of me, because they were expecting me to cross, even though their signal was green. I was like, I kind of crossed out of embarrassment, and then came back.
So I guess I have an embarrassing one. So in my history class at the university, the history teacher, he was really good. He had a multicultural background, so he understood what I was going through. But there was a girl that I liked, and I kept staring at her. Because to me, the background I came from, you're not supposed to talk to women. So, yeah, and I keep looking at her. I like her, but, and she went and complained about me. So my history teacher called me into his office, and he was like, do you like that girl? And, I was like, yeah, but I'm sorry, He was like, no need to be sorry. You can go talk to her. So I actually said hello, and that was a good beginning. But yeah, I stared at her for like 3 weeks.
The first time I came in the airport, I saw the restroom. I thought it was a place where you have a bed and you can.
I think one thing I can remember is when I first got here, I was a freshman, and me and my friends were just trying to go to some restaurant, and we see a sign there that says alcohol free. So we're like, oh, free!
Okay, hey panel, my question for y'all is, can you tell us a little bit about the place that y'all are from so we can kind of learn about it a little bit, like some of the important things that you think we should know? And then I'm very curious to know, what is it that they honestly think of Americans?
My people are, I told you, open-minded, and they like America. They worship America. Most of them, 90% of them. And also there are religious people by nature, but not like the extreme Islam, or they drink and they have fun, but they are religious.
It's kind of hard to put them in a nutshell. There's a lot of diversity, and of course, I'm fairly cognizant of the fact that I was a teenager when I left versus how things might be for an adult. But when I was growing up, the town I'm from. It's a fairly small town, predominantly Catholic, and unless you're part of the Catholic Church, there's not a whole lot to do. However, you can still participate in the events, regardless of what religion you are. So that was always fairly nice. It was pretty open in that respect. One of the challenges I grew up with was that everybody seemed to know my mother. And I wasn't necessarily the best behaved girl on the planet. But yeah, what is different, very different over there, it seems, is that there is not a lot of segregation between people of different income brackets. So rather than here where you have your little area where the rich people live and your area where the poor people live, it was much more commingled living, which I always felt like there was just not that boundary. Aside from that, it's just a small town where everybody knows everything, and if you're talking about somebody being pregnant one week, the next week they're having triplets. So, it is just what it is. It's people.
I come from a pretty large city. It's now about 6 to 8 million people, and a significant number in in their 20s and 30s are employed by the software industry, both the call centers as well as the software development centers, if you know the difference a little bit. So they're significantly Americanized. So they have a really good opinion, obviously, and even though they're liberal in most ways, but they have their own religion. There are 4 or 5 major religions there. They're culturally attached to their families, but they're still very Americanized, yes.
So I guess I'll summarize it. It's Americans are good, but America is evil. So according to my experience, if an ordinary American visits Pakistan, he will be welcomed. He will learn a lot, and they will be fascinated by him. But when it comes to America, I think it's political or whatever, but America is the most evil country on the planet, and they're running all the evil schemes around the planet. So they would even they won't even think about their own mistakes. They will blame America first. So, like 9/11 didn't happen. So.
From where I come from, it's similar. So I would say like half and half. It's love and hate relationship. From where I come from, it was a very big city, so people are very open-minded. One thing I do notice is, how to say that, people are more open to gay and equality marriage. They are more acceptable than a lot of people here. And I'll say, like, from what I notice is within the internet's increasing usage, more young people starts to really love America, no matter how much textbook trying to tell us how evil America is. Yeah.
Mainly for the people who have been speaking English a little bit longer, but for everyone, do you prefer speaking English or your home language? Because it tends to vary from language to language, but I have mixed responses on this one whenever I ask people, so I'm just wondering.
Being that English is the language that I speak the most nowadays, I can express myself probably better in English, but there are certain phrases in German that I actually miss in English that are much more precise. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's English. And if you're wondering about the phrases, it's Feierabend und Schadenfreude. Feierabend is just the end of the day, and it's literally party evening. Like, you're going home after the workday, Feierabend. Schadenfreude, I think most of you are familiar with. Yes, you guys do steal everything.
Well, English is technically my primary language, since that's the language I was educated in since kindergarten, essentially. So I know more vocabulary in English than any other language, even though my my mother tongue, so-called, is different. I'm more fluent in writing English than any other language. My mother tongue is Hindi, and I also speak the state language there, Telugu. But I can't. It's easier to speak in English and write English. Yes.
So I can speak English. I can understand Arabic. I can also read Arabic, and my mother tongue is Urdu, so I know that as well, and I can write as well. One difference that I saw was between Urdu compared to Arabic and English. There are some jokes and phrases in Urdu that can't be translated, no matter what you do. So just for that reason, I would never forget that language, because you just can't express those things in English or any other language. And Arabic has some things like that as well, but I haven't found it. I mean, you're always able to translate it in English or another language. But Urdu, I think I will just keep it just for that reason.
It's in the poetry.
I'm not very poetic, so.
We learned how to read and write English ever since kindergarten, but I only start to speak English ever since I came here. And from my first year here, I was really just hang out with people who can speak Chinese, because that's what I feel comfortable with. Then my professor started to talk to me. He said, if you come to America, like, you need to hang out with more local students. You need to adapt to their culture, and language is the media for the culture. So that's when I really started to get more practice my English and get to hang out with all different group of people. So right now I feel more comfortable to speak English.
I learned Arabic in school, and we have our own small language among hundreds of languages in Sudan. I also learned English in the intermediate school and going up to the university in Sudan. I find it very hard for me to speak English here.
Okay. Now, I'm going to try to get around to everybody who already put your hand up, but we can't take any new questions, so quit waving your hands at me. All right, Tim.
Hey, so we Americans like to, talk crap about our politics, not the least of me. So when you came to America, do you think the politics are better or worse objectively?
I don't know about objectively, but subjectively. It's much more divisive here. There's, I think, much more of a focus on compromise. Where I come from, we have a number of different parties, and there's much more of a focus. Well, you're going to have to get together with another party in order to get anything done. So it's not so just beating down on the other guy.
India, for the most part, is a multi-party democracy as well. So the two-party system is kind of, it looks to me a little more, I don't know. It's not representing enough opinions. That's a subjective opinion, of course. But hey, it's what worked out here, I guess.
So I guess back home the politics have a lot of corruption. I don't see the corruption here, but what I see is, as a politician, they're all doing the same thing. It's just they can afford to do it here, I guess, and they do it more organized. But back home, I've seen the same things happening here. Politicians getting paid and all of that. So, but they can't get paid in donations, and they're more acceptable and all that. So.
There they get paid in suitcases, essentially.
I think it's pretty complicated. So from where I come from, we only have one party, and basically from what I know, from where I grew up, my families and my friends' family, they will all just talk bad about Communist Party. Everybody talk bad about it, but everybody have to follow it, everybody have to join it, or you don't get to anywhere. For here, it's awesome. I feel like you have so much freedom that you can choose to vote, you can choose not to vote. That's a freedom. For there, it's really just you don't have vote right. You can say it, you can speak it, but you just don't have any right to vote. And so that's what I really like about it here. And also, you do have freedom to post things online, and you don't get caught, you don't get put into the jail. And so that's what I really like about it.
I am sorry. I voted for Obama just for the change. Just for the change, nothing else. Otherwise, I am somewhat confused about politics, but I don't think the politicians are very bad.
Okay, right.
How is family life different in your country of origin, especially your relationship with your extended family, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles?
Well, for me, on pretty much both sides of my family, we regard at least up to the grandparents and their brothers, more like essentially my great-grandparents as family, as Americans would probably regard their cousins or even their siblings. It's as close as siblings, essentially. So my second cousins would be pretty much my siblings. It'll be that close, yes.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
For my family, at least, I can't necessarily speak for the country. We weren't particularly close. I mean, yeah, we talk. We know each other of each other's existence. But yeah, I mean, if we were to have a family reunion, it would be, 5 people, 6 people maybe. Just essentially my brothers. Oh no, they have children now, so they would come too. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot more loose than some families here, but then I've seen families here who aren't very close either, who pretty much resemble what I have with my family. So.
Relationship is how you do business in China. So our relatives are really, really close, and we don't call each other cousins, we call each other brothers and sisters. That's also because all the family only have 1 kid now. So we really don't have brother and sisters in a way. And like I said, relationship is everything. So if one member of the family get to go to a good company, and that's out of question that all his family members will more or less go into that company as well. So that's how my dad helped my cousins, helped my aunt to get into their companies. So that's how we help each other economically, help each other emotionally, and really close.
The part of the country where I live, the family is everything. There is no notion of nationalism or anything, party, political affiliation or anything else. Only family matters.
And the clocks on the wall are a little bit fast, so don't be concerned. We're going to take 2 more questions, maybe.
Immigrants usually live in between 2 different communities, the community that they left and the community they came to, and most of the time this is understood as some sort of a in-between space where you have a sense of loss of your previous community and you still don't really belong to the new community. Some people use that space of liminality, that space in between these 2 communities to their advantage. For example, somebody told me that when he doesn't want to do something or he doesn't want to answer a question, then he just pretends that he doesn't understand the new language or he doesn't understand what exactly this is. Have you found any instances, any examples in your own life when you used an excuse like that, and for what reason?
What was the question? I missed that. I didn't understand the question.
Can you say it in Arabic?
That's funny. I must honestly say I haven't. I'm a pretty straightforward person. I have the hardest time lying, so sorry. No, if I don't want to answer it, I won't answer it. And in this case, I just haven't done it.
So if I take it as a point of religious community, then religiously, no, I did not feel any loss and I don't want to go back. I didn't miss anything. So that's how it was for me.
Trying to think. I mean, there's always the whole, my relatives here would go to the temple and stuff, and I can just opt out of it. But that's not more about an immigrant thing. That's more about me, essentially, not regarding myself as Hindu anymore. So, I get out of that essentially by saying, essentially, I'm not that. Essentially, I'm not religious. So, that's kind of an excuse. Yeah.
The only time I can remember is if I go do grocery and some guys start to approach me, ask for money, and I feel bad to say no. I'm just like, what did you say? No English.
Okay, we'll have to make this our last question, Brian.
Yeah, what would you say would be some of the things you might miss about home?
Event markets, just like you have here the Christmas markets. It's just they're outside over there. You have the Glühwein, the hot wine with all the spices and all of that, the scent of that, and the burned almonds. That's the one thing I miss. I'm not sure I'll ever get that again because I hate winter, so I won't go back just for that.
Definitely food and my parents.
Food and night sky, and of course friends.
Well, I guess some of my extended family more than my immediate family, because my immediate family can still travel. The extended family, especially the older ones, can't make the transatlantic flights and all that. So it's the reason I go back home is to kind of meet them, essentially. So.
Yeah, I'll agree with Hassan. It's food and friends. So.
Great. I learned a lot today, and thank you so much for doing this. Give him a big hand. Now.